Hello. Thank you, Father, for that generous introduction. Good morning, everyone. I think that's not the ICYM energy that we are looking for from the Youngs at Heart. Once again, good morning, everyone. Can you turn to the person to your left and to your right? Can you say, I'm glad that you're here? Are you really glad that that person is here right now? Good morning once again. I'm Karen Caramoan, as mentioned by Father Peter. Allow me to also introduce myself briefly before I proceed with my presentation. I'm currently, just like what Father Peter mentioned, I'm currently the Chief Learning Engineer of Seaworthy International. You'll be hearing the word Seaworthy a lot during my presentation, but basically, because of that experience, I was able to serve different groups. I'm also graced and blessed to serve people from different generations and different organizations. No? So just to give you a brief background, our organization, Seaworthy International, is present here in the Philippines and also some partners also abroad. We also have our partners in Southeast Asia, but basically our mission is to build a world where everyone serves one another and everyone sees worthy in each other. So for the next 40 minutes of my portion, allow me to journey with you in order for us to see worthy in our younger generation. So speaking of the youth, can you look at your person to your left and to your right? Do you think what generation does that person belong to? Is that a tough question? Later we'll be answering that, no? But speaking of youth exposure, youth experiences, I had the opportunity to serve different youth groups through the following organizations. So first and foremost, I'm very proud to describe myself as a former petiteacher. So before I moved to the corporate world to do consulting and training. But before that, I also served as a member of the youth ministry. I've heard the talk of Father Jerome a while ago, and some of the tough questions that we've heard, of course, pertaining to the youth ministries. And also, I've been exposed to, just like what was mentioned a while ago, the different youth organizations here in the Philippines and also abroad through our foundation, FINMA Foundation. So, and of course, some of the, again, organizations in churches, like for example, some talks and conversations in different seminaries here in the Philippines. No? So, speaking of different generation, in our work, I'm the youngest, just to give you a context, I'm the youngest in our group, but I do handle, I don't call like more senior members of our group or more wiser people in our group. And also in our family, I'm part of a multi-generational family from different generations. So just to give you a brief of a background, why Seaworthy across generations, no? Or how do we engage not only the young ones, but also the young at heart in terms of course, our dynamics with them. No? So, to give you a brief of a background, this talk originated, or this program originated from a need. In one of our programs, a CEO approached us with a confused face, with a doubtful face, and he approached me saying, Karen, my team members are younger than me. Do they understand me? Do you have the same question as with your teams? Do they listen to me? Do they understand me? And I was I'm surprised, and also with confusion in my face, I was thinking, we have the same genome and species. We are also part of the Homo sapiens group, so therefore, supposedly, we understand each other. But the question that we will be answering today is, how do we engage the young ones and the young at heart through seaworthy generations? No? So allow me to walk you through how to seaworthy with different generations. So speaking of seaworthy or seeing, can I engage you with a quick eye check? Is that all right? Is that all right? Can I ask everyone to stand up? Let's all stand up. Tayo po tayong lahat. Let's all stand up. And can I ask you to find a partner? Find a partner, preferably whom you haven't met yet. No? So again, find a partner whom you haven't met yet. I believe in finding a partner, just look into your partner's eyes and you will see that that is the perfect match for you. So again, find a partner, preferably whom you haven't met yet. All right. So once you have a partner, can I ask you to face your partner, and give a high five to your partner and say, "Good morning, partner. It's nice to meet you today." All right. So between you and your partner, can I ask you to choose who will be partner A and partner B? Who will be person A and person B? All right, can we have that? Can I have who are persons A? A, B, raise your hand, B. They say when you type in Google, A meaning adorable, B meaning beautiful. And you believe in that saying, no? Naniwala naman. All right. So, A first. Can I have person A? Person A. Can I ask you to look at the screen? Look at the screen. All right. Person B. Person B. The beautiful people in the group. Yeah. Can you raise your hand and close your eyes and put your hand onto your eyes? No, cover your eyes. Cover your eyes. All right. So, listen to my instruction. Listen to my instruction. Person A, can I ask you to look at the screen? I'll be showing a photo. Just remember the photo. And no side comments, please. I know you're very excited, you're very passionate, but no side comments. No. So person A first, look at the screen. I'll be showing a photo. And kindly look at the photo. Remember the photo, no side comments. Person B, close your eyes. All right, remember the photo. 3, 2, 1. All right. Now, of course, person B, it's now your time to shine. Person B, you can look at the screen. Person A this time. Let's switch the role. Cover your eyes. Cover your eyes. Same instructions. Same instructions. Look at the screen without side comments. I'll be showing a photo. Remember the photo. You're not allowed to talk. You're not allowed to comment. All right? 5, 4, 3, 2, study the photo, and 1. All right, both of you, look at the screen now. Look at the screen, both of you, person A and B, adorable and beautiful, look at the screen. Now, I'll be showing a photo, and just remember the photo, but this time, you can comment on the third one. You can comment on the third one. All right, just remember the photo that I'll be showing. This will be very quick. 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right, once more. 1, 2, 3. All right. Now, turn to your partner. I want you to describe to your partner what did you see from the third photo. What did you see from the third photo? I'll be giving you time to describe to your partner what did you see from the third photo. Go. Again, describe to your partner what did you see from the third photo. Last 10 seconds. Last 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Question. Did you and your partner see the same thing? Why? I showed the same photo. What happened there? What did you see? Can I hear some answers? Shout some answers. What did you see? Old man. Face. A woman. Let's see. Who among you says, I saw a woman? Wow. A couple of you. Who says, I saw a face of a man? Who says, after the activity, I didn't see anything? It's a different thing. All right, let's see now. Let's see. So this is the third photo that I showed you and your partner a while ago. So this is the third photo. All right. Can you help your partner see what you're seeing? Can you help your partner see what you're seeing? Again, help your partner see what you're seeing. Don't give up with your partner, no? Explain, explain. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. High five your partner and say, thank you, partner, for helping me. You may now sit down, you may now sit down. Some of the people at the back, they're still debating on the face and the body of the woman. Later on, I'll be having a separate session with you, brothers at the back. So, I'll help you see what I'm seeing. But basically what happened there, what happened here, just to give you a context, while I think it was person B, right? Person B, I showed you this photo. While they're looking at me, I showed this photo. And then, person A. Sorry! Person A. No, person A. While person B is looking, this is what I show them. Most of you were mentioning, it's your fault. You tricked us. No. The process there is what we call as conditioning. Again, can you repeat the term? Conditioning. I conditioned you to look at different photos. So therefore, when I showed you the third photo, you saw what you previously saw from the previous photos that I showed you, right? So here in this talk, in this 40-minute talk, the message is we are conditioned based on our culture, based on our backgrounds. We have different families, we have different regions. We also have from different generations. So therefore, it's not, we need to value, no? The challenge is to value and to appreciate. The last instruction I had a while ago was to help your partner see what you're seeing. So therefore, in this next, hopefully, few minutes, we'll be helping each other see what we see and understand and bridge the gap. No? So basically, the question that we need to, or the goal for this talk is that to bridge the gaps, if there is, no, in the generations, and of course, to win the trust and through effective engagement between the wiser and the younger generations, through learning and adapting from each other, and of course, through guidance and mentorship from our older ones, and of course, the willingness to learn and humility to learn from the younger generation. No, so I think this is the beautiful call when Pope Francis said, let's journey with each other, a community of synodality, no, wherein we understand and see each other from the different perspectives and lenses. No? So there are two segments of this talk on how to effectively engage our youth based on, of course, understanding where they're coming from and unleashing them. So if you have the question, let me answer it right away. How do we effectively engage our young ones? It's through understanding and unleashing. Can you repeat that? All right, so let's start first with understanding, no? Understanding the different generations. As I said a while ago, we were conditioned differently. We have different perspectives or paradigms on how we see things. And when we say paradigms, those are just like different lenses. Of course, our younger ones, they wear different lens as they see and view different things. No, paradigm or perspective. Can I give a simple simulation? Is that all right? Can I ask you to put your finger in front of you, like this? And can I ask you to slowly turn it to your right, like this, to your right. Look at your finger, don't look at me. And then, slowly, okay, so you're looking at your finger, right? Can I ask you to which direction is your finger moving? Clockwise or counterclockwise? Clockwise, right? Can I ask you to slowly move it upwards? Slowly move it upwards, like this. Look at the ceiling, look at your finger. Can you tell me now, to which direction is your finger moving? Clockwise, counterclockwise? Again, don't move the movement, don't change the direction. To which direction? Counterclockwise. Move it downwards, downwards. To which direction is your finger moving? Clockwise. Move it up. It's counterclockwise. No? So, it's all right. It's all right. No? So, you can put down your fingers. No? And it's here. It's not here. No? It's here. As you see, our dear friends, yes, we are looking at the same thing, just like the photo, just like the exercise a while ago. We're moving in the same direction, but sometimes we're seeing it differently. So therefore, the challenge is to understand, no, to see the worthiness, to understand where each person is coming from. And speaking of understanding, there's a beautiful quote from Dr. Stephen Covey, the author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He mentioned this. Can we read this together in 3, 2, 1? Once you see things differently, you'll think, feel, and act differently. So once we see the world from the perspective of the other generation, we might understand where they're coming from. And in order for us to do that, let's see the different generational cohorts. They mentioned that there are 6. We have different generational cohorts, but as of now, we have 6, no? And some of which are, we have the veterans, and the birth year, or this one. We have the baby boomers. We have the Gen X. We have the Gen Y, or they call us millennials, and Gen Z, and we have Generation Alpha. Question, this is my poll question. Can you go to your Menti poll? I asked you to log into this code a while ago. Are you still there? So again, you can go to menti.com and use the QR code. The question is, to which generation do I belong? No, so I'm showing now a poll. To which generation do you belong? No, so is it veterans, baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, or millennials? I'll be giving you a few seconds to answer our poll. All right, we're seeing now the answers in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I have full honesty, no? We're not requiring you to show your birth certificates. So we will be trusting you with your age and your birth date. We have here, according to most of us, we have one veteran in the group. Can we clap for our veteran in the group? What an honor to be, of course, be with you. We have changing numbers from 2 to 4. I think they're confused if they will admit. We have 2 or 4. 2 or 4 from baby boomers. Make some noise, our baby boomers team. And we have 39 from Gen X. Make some noise, Gen Xers. We have a lot from millennials. Where's the millennial team? Where? Really? We have Gen Z. And of course, they're not with us, but they say that the emerging generation is Generation Alpha. Preferably, the members of your different youth ministries are part of this generation. But let's take a look at the differences, of the different generations. So let's mind the gap. For the older generation, they say that you belong to either one of these, so veterans, baby boomers, or Gen Xers. And because of their experience of World War II and maybe some experiences of struggles, financial and social, and the stock market crash last 1987, they've developed the following, they've developed the following nature or mentality. Number 1, the veterans are very hard workers. They follow the rules and they value authority. Baby boomers, they say that they are the cooler Gen Ys, so they are the older Gen Ys. They have strong work ethics. They're Gen X, very independent and strong communicators. Nod once if you can relate. Nod once if you can relate. Well, as the younger generation, the younger generations, they say that these are the tech generation. The millennials, we experience the transition, right? We experience the computer with the cave at the back. We experience the cell phone with keypads, right? So we experience also the smartphones. We are a bit of an old and a new generation. While as in Gen Z make some noise? Diba? Gen Z, when they were born, they're already part of the technology. And of course, Generation Alpha, when they say, just a joke, when they were born, they were already holding their smartphones. No? So that's how tech savvy the younger generations are. And when we look at the younger generation, let's see the context. No? Here in the Philippines, they say that, according to PSA, they say that we are becoming a younger generation. By 2024, entering 2025, they say that this will be the ratio. And it's also true when we did the Southeast Asian research and global research. It's also true to different countries. By 2025, we'll be entering 70% millennials and Gen Z and Gen Alpha, well as 30% from our wiser generations. And if we're going to look at the younger generations, who are these youngsters? Who are these younger generations? No? So they are what you call as the socially aware, or the younger ones, they want to call themselves as woke generation, or they are the ones whom you see from time to time in your social media. They will post something about politics, finances, environment, and also about their studies while doing their TikToks. So they are very tech savvy and health conscious, both physically and mentally. So these are our younger generations right now. And if we're going to take a look, what are their social triggers? If we're going to look at the global research, there's a beautiful research from Deloitte. I'll be giving a copy of the materials later on. But this is a beautiful research from Deloitte. They conducted a study last 2020. It started around 2020, still a developing study. The participants are from Gen Z and Millennial, 22,000 more plus participants. And when they asked the younger generations, what were your concerns, or what are your concerns? And based on the study, these are the top 5 concerns of the younger generations. Now, let's try to compare. If you're going to take a look at the concerns of the millennials and Gen Z, you'll be seeing that there is a similarity or almost the same results, right? You're seeing their cost of living or economic crisis. You're seeing their environmental concerns, climate change, unemployment. We also have mental health, and even crime and personal safety and sexual harassment. So if you're going to look at the concerns or your descriptions of the younger ones, it's because they were molded of the events that were happening around us. No? So when they interview these youngsters or these young participants, the young participants mentioned that the real-life events that lasted few years have shaped our lives. And of course, molded our perspective to where we are right now. Some of them acknowledge that it contributed positively to their daily lives, but most of them express that they're really concerned about their future. So now the question is, looking into our different communities and ministries, are we guiding our youth towards, again, brighter future or more resilient future? We will be answering that in just a bit. But the question is, why? No? What were the events that shaped the younger generations? If the older generations, they were, again, formed by, we have the stock market and also the World War II. In the younger generation's time, they were molded by millennials. Do you still remember? We witnessed, globally, this is a global statistics rather. Millennials, you still remember? We witnessed the 9/11 attack. That's also the reason why we became more socially aware. This is just samples. We have different examples across all countries. But for Gen Z, they've experienced the great financial crisis, GFC or recession. That's also the reason why they became more practical and more economically involved, and they have worries on unemployment and cost of living. And of course, we all know that for Gen Alpha, they've experienced the COVID-19. That's also the reason why their parents became more protective of their health, both physically and mentally. So therefore, what we're saying is that these experiences, no, these different social triggers, these different social events really molded our perspective, our young generational culture. Those are different numbers. Those are different data that we've gathered. But now, let's take it into experience. Is that all right? We will use your experience to verify those numbers. Is that all right? No, so we will be entering an activity that we call a poll game. Is that all right? So can I ask you to get your phones still on the Mentimeter page? Can I ask you to answer the following questions? By the way, our segment is what we call as I Relate. All you need to do is just the millennial way or Gen Z way of doing, click the answer. No? So here is the instruction. I'll be showing a question and you'll be seeing two different options. Just click your answer. Just click your answer. All right? Is that all right? Thumbs up if you're ready. All right? So we're seeing thumbs up. So here is my first question. So based on our experience, by the way, these questions or these glasses, generational glasses, these were, again, a result of studies for over 10 years conducted by our team, by Seaworthy, when we interviewed different youth groups and different companies involving the younger and the older generation. First question. Let me also shift. Which of these themes or ideas did you grow up with or is popular during your growing up years? Is that working hard or working smart? Imagine, during your growing up years, what did you hear more from your teachers, parents? Is it, you need to work hard, or you need to utilize technology, work smart? Click on your answers. 5, 4, 3, 2, and survey says it's, let's see. Survey says it's, we have 287 mentioned work hard. Can we ask some of our audience members, any experiences or any emotions that's running through your heart right now about working hard? It seems that I'm inside the classroom and I said, or any audience members, some of you are looking up, down, sideways. Can we hear from this side? Maybe let's ask help from our ground hosts to pass any. I think we have one. Any volunteers? From this side? Go ahead, sir. I'll be giving you the PowerPoint, the power to point someone whom you feel we want to interview. There you go. Thank you, sir, for volunteering. Let's give a hand to a brother. Can we have the microphone, please? My question is, which of these do you relate to most? Is it working hard or working smart? And from which generation, if you don't mind us asking? Here you go. Also, you can describe it to your seatmates if you happen to answer differently from your seatmates.
Hello, Mike. Hi, so my name is Bertrand.
Nice meeting you, brother.
I'm from the Society of Jesus. I'm from Gen Y.
Gen Y.
Yeah. So, so I've always grown up with the idea that you have to work hard, but along the years I realized that idea doesn't quite work anymore because there's an opportunity cost and it doesn't really translate to you getting a promotion at work, and sometimes it just doesn't add up. You know, the amount of effort that you put in doesn't add up to, you can't really quantify it. You know, so you can't really see what happens after that.
Yes.
Yeah. And so right now it's slanting more to the other side, to working smart.
To working smart.
Yeah.
No. Because we understand, to your point, brother, as part of Generation Y or millennials, we're in between. We're taught by our parents to really work hard. We have that value. And to your point, brother, but we also see the opportunity to work smart. Thank you. Let's give a hand to brother. And as you see, no, we have these two different, again, polar generations we're in. I mean, polar. If you're going to look at the value of working hard and working smart, and if your answer is it's part of the older generation to work hard, you're right, and part of the younger generation to work smart, because the explanation on this one is we're exposed to technology, right? During our older years, we used to do things manual, whereas for the younger ones, they used to doing things like with different apps and technology. So that's question number one. Let's proceed to question number two. Question number two. The question is, let me just shift this. All right, so question number two. Looking at these two questions, or looking at these two concepts, look at these two concepts. Which of these themes or ideas belong to the culture of the older generation? Is it, if it doesn't work, change it, or if it doesn't work, try again? Again, part of the older generation. Which do you think is, again, the culture or the generational glass of the older generation? Is it try again or change it? 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So we have 300 plus answers for try again, and again 69 for change it. No? So can we ask some opinions? Why did you think that as part of generational glass of the older generation is to, if it doesn't work, just try again, no? Try until you grabe, succeed, no? try until you succeed. And we have sister, your name? Oh, we will try again because it's not working. We'll try again. Try and try, sister.
Good morning to all
Good
of you.
morning.
I am Sister Marie Josephine Sombrero, Sisters of
Mary.
St. Paul of Charles. I'm assigned in Bataan. I'm ministering the youth in our parish. So for me, I think the older generation belongs to that try again, because of the generation now is more instant, while in our older generation, you really need to work hard in order to to succeed or to do things. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give a hand to Sister Mary. You're right, sister. As part of the lens of the older generation, if it doesn't work, try again. Part of the younger generation, if it doesn't work, change it. Different options. There are multiple options in order for us to maximize our time. No? So again, this also leads to a mentality we're in as part of the older generation. They see struggle as a way to build their character. Whereas, as part of the younger generation, if there's a struggle, it might be there's some efficiency in your work. It might be you're not maximizing the technology that you have. It might be you're not maximizing the time that you're given. So again, struggle is a sign of efficiency for the younger ones. As also, if you're going to backtrack, what is the reason behind it? No, what is the reason behind it? It's because of course, the presence of technology. No, so the technology, as we all know, the positive side of it is it brings speed and convenience and flexibility to our daily lives. It made our work faster and more efficient and easier. That's also the reason why the con, or part of the cons, or part of the negative effects of it is that our younger generation, they have the tendency to become impatient. And of course, when things are tough, because they're used to having instant food, instant information, they give up when things are tough. No, so that's also the reason why if you're going to scan through some libraries or even some videos on YouTube, there are a lot of clickbaits or videos emerging right now, trending videos right now, such as diet within 30 days or have this knowledge within 30 days, because they're targeting the younger generations, no? Because of course, they want easy and fast information. So the question is it the technology's fault? Is it the technology's fault? Perhaps yes, some of you perhaps said yes, but no. We have the opportunity to really guide and mentor and to learn from each other, and of course, teach our younger ones the value when to work hard and when to work smart, when to endure, and when to change the system. And as part of the older generation, maybe let's ask our younger ones. Maybe they have the idea, they're seeing things that we don't see. What are the things that we can innovate, that we can adapt to in order for us to make our work more efficient? We can also ask our different young ones. No? So that's the idea or the difference on try again and change it. Next question. On board, still on the poll question. Which of these ideas now belongs to the younger, this time the younger generation? Let me just switch the question. Which of these ideas belong to the younger generation? Stand out and be true to yourself, or blend in and follow the norm? So which of these two are part of the younger generation? Is it stand out and blend in, or follow the norm? Yeah, it's just loading, but according to most of you, they said that part of the younger generation is stand out and be true to yourself. Can we hear some ideas or some experiences? Maybe from the younger ones this time? Where are our Gen Z people here in the group? Now you're silent. A while ago, you're cheering for your generation. Yeah, there you go. Ma'am, yes, ma'am, you. Which of these are part of the younger generation perspective? Is it blend in and follow the norm, or stand out and be true to yourself?
We always want to stand out and be true to ourselves. Because sometimes standing out is giving out new ideas, things that could make things faster or efficient. So I think going with the flow or just being with the norm doesn't really help us to do a lot of things, especially if we wanted to make some changes or we wanted to innovate things. Going with the flow or with the norm is not really that helpful, I think.
So to your perspective, ma'am, no, by standing out, it helps you to innovate more and to express your creativity more.
Yes.
Am I right? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Let's give a hand. You're right. According to the perspective of the younger generation, they're molded to stand out because of the idea of we need to express ourselves more. We were given the opportunity to express ourselves more. We have different social media to express our different hobbies or different skills, and we have different platforms for that. Whereas, in the older generation, they see things as, of course, we value conformity. We value following the norm. If you're going to look at the different generational classes, both are valuable. Both are important. But let's take a look, no, the different factors. According to the younger ones, the reason why they see things or they want to have a standout idea, or for example, in different ministries or in different organizations, they want to express their ideas and to stand out, it's because it's a way for them to express themselves. No, it's medium of self-expression. And it's also important for them, for you, to create a community wherein it's non-judgmental, wherein they can be expressive, and at the same time, they can be seen and heard. No? An example, if I can give a personal example, is that all right? Growing up, no, can you guess where am I in the picture? Of course, I'm the one standing out, right? In the middle. growing up, my parents were very supportive of me, so they asked me to do different things, ballet, computer class, and a lot more, no? Because according to them, you can achieve whatever you want if you put your heart into it. So me, as the young me, growing up, I want to stand out. I really expose myself to different factors. That's my mentality. To have that what we call as personal branding. What is my personal brand? What is the identity that I want to mold when I go out with my friends, when I introduce to myself to other people? Again, self-expression is important. So the question is it the parents' fault? Kayo naman pala, parents, it's your fault, right? So, no, it's how we were molded by different families, and of course, that's how we see, the things as a part of the younger generation. That's also the reason why one of the best practices that we can implement is to offer a safe environment for our youth, for our young ones to express ourselves, while still teaching the values, the values, of course, our church values, while teaching, of course, the different Filipino and family values. No? So that's one. Last question. I'll not ask you to punch in your answer, but just shout your answer this time. Which of these ideas do you relate to most upon growing up? When the leader tells me to do something, I follow, no questions asked. Or B, when a leader tells me to do something, I might follow or not, depending on the explanation, but I'll ask first why. Why do I need to follow? Or in short, A, if your answer is A, when your leader tells you again to jump, your answer is how high? But if your answer is letter B, when your leader tells you to jump, your answer is why? Why do I need to jump? What is your answer? A or B? Shout your answer. So it's a mixed answer, no? If we're going to take a look, which of these generational ideas belong to the younger and older generation? For the older ones, you value, I need to follow, I will follow because I need to. Whereas for the younger ones, I will follow because I choose to follow. What is the challenge there for us, as ministers, as leaders of our different communities? We are challenged. We are challenged to go back and look at our group, and when we communicate, aside from telling them the details, maybe let's also ask them or tell them the why. The purpose. Let's have a clear purpose as to why we're doing things. If we're going to look at the data, the older generations, who do they listen to? They seek advice from older people like officials, experts, and even practitioners. A basic example is that when we were younger, as part of the older generation, who are our teachers? Is it younger than us or older than us? Most of them are part of like the 50s or 40s with the age of like that. But now, the younger generation, who are their teachers, or who do they listen to? It's with their peers, forums, and here's the interesting fact. Take a look at this. For Generation Alpha, they're talking to their chatbots now. No? So, and in terms of leadership style, let's see the difference. For the older ones, we are used to having the leadership style of controlling, like a leader will tell you something, cascading some information, or even directing and coordinating. While as for the younger ones, they're used to, or they're more engaged whenever they have this type of leadership, more on guiding, empowering, and inspiring leaders, inspiring leadership. In short, they really value, they're really engaged if they are part of the process. If they are part of the decision-making process, if they are involved from start to finish of the process. No? So those are the different generational glasses. Again, we are saying that no generational culture is above than the other. What we're saying is that both generational cultures are important. We can learn from the older generation. We can also learn from the younger ones. No? So that's how we understand our younger generation and also the different generations. So maybe the question is, what now? So what? So how do we unleash our younger generations? Now, for the next segment, this will be quicker than the first one. Can I ask you now to look at your poll again and maybe kindly answer with us kindly answer with us this question. What are the different pain points or the different problems that you hear from your young ones? No? So again, let me just flash that. What are the different pain points or what are the different problems that you hear from the young ones? While I'm flashing the poll question, maybe you can also talk, comment or say this with your team members or your seatmates. Maybe let's also, yeah, there you go. Again, let's teach our young ones to value manual work because sometimes technology is not working. All right, so again, with your poll question, look at your screen right now in your poll question. What pain points, no? What pain points or problems do you usually hear from the younger generations? There you go. What are the problems or pain points or common complaints do you hear about the younger generation or do you hear from the younger generation? Any pain points or problems that you hear from them? Or complaints about the younger generation? Like for example, they're very expressive. Or they don't know how to prioritize. Those are some of the common pain points that we hear. Alright, let's finalize our answers in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I think your answers are still coming in, but the bigger the answer, it means most of you answer that theme, no? So we have here mental health, money, family, parents, tired. We have tiredness. We also have impatience. We have this different, it seems that our young ones have multiple problems, no, that they are facing. If you're going to look at these problems, they say that it's divided into 4 different themes. No? So let me just switch. No? So according to different themes or researches, we can categorize these problems into 4 themes. It's maturity, technology, collaboration, and strengths. Can you repeat that? Technology, collaboration, and strengths. If you're going to take a look at the problems that you just punched in, there are some problems that fall under maturity, meaning regardless of the generation, it's just part of them growing up. Regardless of your Gen Y, Gen Z, or even the older generation, it's just part of growing up. Some of the problems that you just punched in are problems because of technology. It's a byproduct of the technology that they have right now. And some of those problems that you mentioned are part of course, collaboration, meaning lack of collaboration or guidance from the older ones, or these problems can be solved when the young and the old ones can work together or will work together. And some of these problems that you just punched in are, again, the opposite of their strengths. No? So just the opposite of their strengths. If we're going to take a look very quickly, if you answered, this is a pro tip, no? Maybe you can do the same with your different groups. Ask them to write what are their problems right now, what are they're facing, what are their doubts, and categorize it into their four categories. And if it happens that you face a problem under maturity, no? So under maturity, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Realign, no? Realign. Talk to them. Maybe through guidance and mentorship and even leadership. Father Jerome mentioned a while ago, be with your youth groups and understand them. Now, if it happens that you have a problem, no, with maturity, allow them to make mistakes. Allow them to, again, commit mistakes, but guide them. And of course, help them find their motivation and their purpose and their why. So you can only do this through coaching, through mentoring, and by talking to our younger ones. If it happens upon your, again, inquiry, your interviews, you find yourself we have problems with technology, teach them how to have genuine connection, to connect genuinely. No, because our younger ones, they're used to facing their screens. Maybe let's build some activities that are building genuine connection wherein they can express themselves more, and also gamify the experience. That's also the reason why since a while ago we've been doing a lot of activities to also capture their attention span, to motivate them also, no, to be engaged in whatever activity that we are doing. And then next, if the problem is stemming from collaboration, the tip is to adapt. Maybe as part of the leadership team or the older guiding ones, let's be honest. What do I need to know more about the younger generation? A while ago, we've seen different generational glasses, and let's try to listen and understand and learn from them. Later on, we have like enabled young leaders during our panel discussion. This is our time for you to ask them questions. I'm passing the responsibility to them for them to answer the question, but to listen and to understand to the younger and to learn from them. And of course, lastly, if the problem is stemming from strength, empower our younger ones. No? So they say that when you delegate tasks, when you involve them in the process, it gives them the sense of responsibility and motivation. I've heard a while ago a question wherein how to motivate an unmotivated team member. Maybe let's go back to that team member, no, to that young one, and ask them where that person is coming from, and maybe we can journey or ask them and motivate them, no. So again, empower our younger ones. And speaking of empowerment, there is a quote again from Stephen Covey. Can we read this together? Leadership is communicating people's worth and potential so clearly that they come to see it themselves. When we empower our team members, when we motivate them, we affirm them, we see worthy in them, and we communicate it so clearly that they come to see it themselves. They believe it, that they are the ones that you are telling them. No? And while preparing for this talk, I had the opportunity to interview our current bishop, the Archbishop-elect of Cáceres. Anyone from Bicol here? Same as me? Proud Bicolana? Marahay na aga. Ayun po, no? So, I had the chance to interview him. I went to him and said, Bishop, I'll be going to a conference, to a youth conference. And what is your message to our youth and to our youth ministers? He mentioned Archbishop Rex is the current chairman of the Episcopal Commission of Youth here in the Philippines. He mentioned to our young ones, where is our millennials, Gen Z, and Alpha? Raise your hands. Can we read this together? 3, 2, 1. To our young ones, let us know your questions. Tell us your dilemma. Let us all be open to one another and journey with each other. Be open to us, and please have patience with us. Let us also be open to religious values. Now, very beautiful quote wherein let's be humble and be open to learning from the older generation. And part of the wiser generation, where's the part of the young wiser generation? Baby boomers, Gen X, and veterans. He also has a message. Can we read this together? To our wiser generation in 3, 2, 1. Let us bridge the gap between the older and the younger ones. Let us build a community that is trusting and inspiring one another in order for us to bridge the gap between different generations. At the end of the day, let's treat people as people and problems as problems, never the other way around. No? I really believe that sincerity is the key. If your different groups believe and feel your sincerity, they will be engaged. I hope that there is a one-size-fits-all approach to this, but no, you need to customize, to know your people more, to know your team more in order for you to craft, to design a perfect fit, again, engagement activity plan for your team. And lastly, no, for our last activity, can I invite everyone to stand up? This will be my last promise. To stand up, just to check our energy. We will be playing a last activity called Jump. Are we ready to jump? Why? Wow. Suddenly, all became millennials and Gen Z asking why. No? So, for our last activity, we'll be playing Jump. Very simple. No? I will not ask you to physically jump, but I'll be showing some numbers and just shout the sum as fast as you can. Shout the sum. No, add it in your mind and then shout the sum. Is that all right? Yes, all right. So I'll be showing, for example, what is the number? Oops, sorry. It's 1,000. Nasa taas po. Upper, it's 1,000. 1,000 plus this number, it's? Louder? All right, shout the sum. Faster. Faster, louder. Faster. What's the answer? What's the answer with full confidence? Wow, 5,000. The correct answer is 4,100. If you shout, if you mention 5,000, you're like me. Sometimes we have the habit of jumping into conclusions, no? Before we analyze. So that's my final message to every one of you. Let's not fall into the trap of jumping into conclusions when we face a millennial, a young one. Let's understand them first. Let's talk to them. Let's not jump into conclusions based on the information that we see in the internet or based on the information that you just received, no? Understand them further. And lastly, if you're going to take a look, no, in order for us to engage our millennials, we see to realign, to connect, to adapt, and empower. If you're going to take the first letter of each word, what can you form? It's to ultimately care. At the end of the day, it's to care. Care for our young ones. Care for even our wiser ones. There's no better, according to Pope Francis, there's no better way to express our service than through loving and caring. No, so again, look at your partners left and right. And can you say, I care for you? Do you care for me? And once again, thank you for allowing me to share my ideas, our researches on how to effectively engage our young ones. Thank you.